Good morning. Today I will talk about the best shoes to wear for diabetics. Now, it's important to get good shoes when you're a diabetic because there's less blood flow and sensation to the foot. So we want to reduce as much pressure as possible to prevent it from getting any worse and leading to something like an ulcer. First, you want to find a shoe that fits properly. So not just fitting the length, but also the width and the depth. So the length, first of all, you want to make sure there's about a thumb between the end of your shoe and the end of your toe. That's about maybe half an inch. If you're touching the end of the toe or end of the shoe, then that's not good. Once you know that the length is proper, then you want to look at the width. So you can check the width by pulling out the original insert, stepping on that, and making sure you're not bulging out of the sides of the inserts. Also, when you put the shoe on, you should make sure that you're not bulging out the sides as well, so that you shouldn't feel a lot of pressure on the sides of the shoe. To fit the width, there are brands that have multiple width options. So a lot of brands don't, so look for brands that have those width options. So widths can range from a AA up to multiple E widths, where AA is the narrowest and maybe the double, triple, those are the widest. So for women, B is considered the normal one that you'd get at the store, and for men, it's a D. So if you want a wide width for women, then you go up to D. Wide width for men, you go up to a double E, but you can also go even wider. So you can also find that to see what width it is by looking on the inside of the shoe. If you look somewhere like the inside of the tongue, that will show you what kind of width it is. So this one is a D width, so it's a wide because it's a women's shoe. You can also see wide here. Sometimes they'll say W or two W's or an M for medium and a N for narrow. Next is fitting the depth of the shoe. So that is the distance from the bottom to the top of the shoe. So you want to make sure there isn't too much or too little space. The way to test that is put the shoe on and try and pinch the sides of the shoe. So if you're able to touch your fingers together and pinch an entire area, then there's too much room. In that case, then use an extra insert and you can put it inside either the whole shoe or just the front. So take a flat insert. You can probably just buy that at your local drugstore or even just an old shoe that you have. Take that insert and put it in the shoe. If you need to cut it in half, just cut it about halfway through the arch here and just use the front part, put it in the shoe. Best thing to do is put it underneath all of the inserts so that when you put your foot in, you're not feeling that ridge. If it's too narrow or too tight, if there's not enough depth, you won't be able to grab any material at all. So it would be very, very tight through here. In that case, you have to find a shoe that has a little bit more depth to it. There isn't a specific number or letter that corresponds with the depth. It just depends on the shoe that you're getting. There are some shoes that have double depth in them or extra deep. Those are the ones you want to find if you have trouble finding the correct depth. But different brands do have different depths. So you can try on 3 or 4 different brands. You might find some are a little bit deeper than others. Next, you want to check the inside of the shoe. So put your hand inside, feel around the inside of the front of the shoe. Make sure there isn't anything sticking up or any seams that would be touching where it could bother you. For example, if you have a bit of a bunion in this area, you don't want any seams running right across that bunion. Same thing if you have hammer toes and they touch the top, you don't want anything running around along the top here. Or look for your bony prominences where they could be touching and make sure there aren't any seams directly over that area. Now let's look at different features that a shoe can have that can help you in your specific condition or where you typically have a lot of pressure. So first I'll talk about pressure at the ball of the foot. So you could have pressure or that first toe for even the toe or along the ball of the foot or even the middle of the ball of the foot. Something called a rocker sole would be a great option. A rocker sole is an extra curve at the front so that when you roll off, there's less pressure at the ball of the foot. This is how the rocker sole works. If we look at the bottom here, we roll off. See how there's quite a bit of a roll here to help take pressure away from the ball of the foot. If you have issues with ulcers or extra pressure on the heel, you can look for a shoe that has extra support at the heel. Now this is just important in general, so for anybody, extra support at the heel is always good, but this is especially important if you do have issues at the heel. So try and bend it at the heel, so there shouldn't be any movement here. So it should be quite solid. So you can try and pinch it through the middle here and then push it at the back. So it should be nice and solid through there. If you have issues with pressure under the arch, maybe that bone is sticking out, then look for a shoe with a wider base of support. So that's something that's wider through here. Some shoes will have quite a curve in through here. You want to try and avoid that. Find something that's a little bit straighter, and that will give you the support under the arch. You also want to look for a shoe that's supportive through the middle. Again, this is important for anybody that needs support. Try and bend it through the middle of the foot and middle of the shoe. Try and twist it. It shouldn't do that. It should be quite solid through the middle of the shoe. If you have issues with pressure at your hammer toes, so those clawed toes, at the top, the tips of the toes, or sorry, at the very top, or just any pressure on your toes, you can find a shoe that has extra stretch at the top. So there are some shoes that are extra stretchy through here, so it'll give you some extra stretch if you have some prominent areas, especially for something like a bunion. There are certain bunion pockets. So this one's a sandal, but you can find them on shoes as well. So this is the area for the bunion, and this is quite stretchy as well. So something like that for a bunion gives you less pressure through that area. If you can't find the shoe that you're looking for with all the appropriate features, modifications can also be done directly to the shoe. So if you need a wider shoe, let's say you can't find a shoe in a 6E, or you need it even wider than that, you can actually, there are ways to split the sole. So we cut it here, open this area, and put the sole back on, but basically it opens up the bottom of the foot and gives you a lot more width. So that can be done specifically in one area for something for a bunion or the outside, or it can be done for the entire width of the shoe. You just have to make sure you have the appropriate depth in the shoe, because as you're widening it, then everything reduces down. So you want to make sure that there is enough space in the top of the shoe as well. You can also stretch the shoe in a specific area. There are patches that can be done you cut open an area, let's say the bunion, you cut open an area and then put a bigger patch on there so that it gives more space for something like a bunion or a different area that has a lot more a bony prominence on it. You can also lace up the shoe differently. If there's a pressure on the top, you can skip eyelets and give you more relief through this specific area. You can use the top eyelets to give you more secure at the heel if your heel sliding up and down and causing issues there. But there are a few different ways to change the laces so that you have more areas in specific spots. And there are some cases where you can go inside the shoe and cut out a spot underneath. So let's say underneath your big toe, you're constantly getting an ulcer there and you really need to take pressure away, and something like an orthotic isn't doing it enough. You can actually go into the shoe, you can cut a bit of a hole, and that creates a bit of a depression so that you have less pressure on that specific spot. Shoe can also be, you can add material to the sole of the shoe to push the foot one way or the other to take pressure away. That rocker sole I was talking about earlier, that can be added onto a shoe as well. So as you can see, there are a lot of different ways that you can modify a shoe to make it fit your foot a little bit better and accommodate those really prominent areas that are prone to ulcers. So if you can't find the exact shoe that you're looking for, you can try and find one that's as close as possible and then have it modified. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I would be happy to help.